Hi, my name is Mariana Lalick, and for my final paper, I have chosen to do research on a standardized assessment called Assessment, Evaluation, and Programming System for Infants and Children, Second Edition, otherwise known as the AEPS system. The area I've chosen to focus on is in early childhood development, and the reason I have chosen these topics are because of my beliefs against the use of high-stakes testing and because of my current course of study, which is in early childhood education. So over the last several years, many people have been calling for a stop to standardized testing, believing that they are being used for the wrong reasons, such as for promotions and higher pay for teachers and higher rankings of schools, and not really benefiting the children. It is also believed that these types of tests pretty much put unnecessary pressure and stress on students while they're being assessed. A lot of these individuals, what they're doing is now looking into alternative approaches to replace these standardized high-stakes testing. The AEPS system is an example of an alternative approach. So young children, diverse children, and children with disabilities shouldn't really be assessed using the same instruments as other children who are considered to be the norm of or part of the norm of society. In terms of the AEPS and how it's set up, it is a play-based, activity-based assessment, and it does consist of an entire system where it's not just an assessment, but it also includes assessing, goal development, intervention, and evaluation. So it's an all-in-one system, which is great. The areas that it assesses in children is fine and gross motor skills, cognitive and adaptive abilities, and social communication. It is administered several times a year and is done basically through the use of score sheets and observations. And another thing that it does, it basically gathers information from the child's families as well. The system is aligned with several domains of the New York State Common Core, and it can be used to make eligibility decisions in states that do allow alternative assessments to be used. It has been proven to be both reliable and valid. And in the paper, basically what I did was I went into the strengths and the weaknesses of the AEPS system. So some of the strengths that I've mentioned in the paper are the fact that it is valid for children with disabilities. It is aligned with multiple domains of the New York State Common Core. It takes place in the child's natural environment and involves family members of the child, which almost no other high-stakes test does. The cons I have mentioned are the flaws in test-retest reliability. The people that are administering the AEPS are not really trained observers. And the test items are listed by age and not by developmental sequence. And lastly, utilizing a natural environment for assessing a child can come with several distractions, pretty much that can distract the child while they're being assessed. So these are just some things to consider that are, like I said, cons or possible flaws to the AEPS system. But I have suggested several ways to overcome these possible flaws. The ways I did this was by recommending creating multiple variations of the assessment, making it mandatory for all administrators to be certified in observing children for such purposes, and to have the test rearranged by developmental sequence. So over here, pretty much, I have all the sources, the outside sources that I used to gather my information about this. So I have an article here, What Can We Learn from Children's Play? This speaks about observing a child during play and not disrupting them in their daily routines. And by doing this, basically it captures their real thinking processes, which other tests do not do or can't do. Right here I have a publication from Little Prince, and this also goes into the wrong reasons for traditional standardized testing, and also states that young children, because they develop rapidly, they should not follow standard models of being assessed. They should actually go by alternative models, which focus on positive rather than failures. So this article here I have called Defining Authentic Classroom Assessment. Basically says that teachers now themselves are beginning to believe in authentic assessment because they have meaning for a child. So as long as the teachers are starting to believe it, then I think we're heading in the right direction in terms of eliminating standardized high-stakes tests for good. Another article I have here is the original purposes and expanded uses of the AEPS. This describes how the AEPS is split into two different levels, the one for younger children and the other one for the older children. It goes into how it was originated and also speaks about the benefits of observation of play and daily activities without disrupting a child's daily or normal routine. This article right here, I have using the AEPS to determine eligibility for IDEA. So this again says traditional assessments do not enhance services for children with disabilities, and it actually hinders quality goals. It goes into some cons of standardized testing and speaks about how authentic approaches can actually overcome a lot of the challenges of the traditional methods. And another really important thing is the fact that they developed what's called cutoff scores so that the system can be used to determine eligibility for IDEA. Right here I have the article basically by Brooks Publishing, and this speaks about how diverse children are often mistaken for having delays, and this happens when they did use traditional assessment approaches. So just as a way to try to avoid that in the future, again, people are looking into more alternative approaches. I did use an abstract in a book called Social Validity. I had to do this because I had a little trouble finding an actual meaning of social validity. This next article here is an activity-based approach to learning for young children. And this pretty much breaks down the 4 processes of the AEPS system, which is the assessment, goal development, intervention, and evaluation. And it also speaks about the opportunities in routine activities. Or actually, sorry, in assessing children during their routine activities. This document right here I have is a dissertation by Brooke Winchell. This was actually a great source for me to use that goes over the cons of the AEPS system. And another paper that I have here is by Jin Zhao and Jennifer Grisham Brown. These also go into why people are seeking alternatives for assessments. So lastly, I used the AEPS interactive website, and I found a lot of great information there. Just a general description of it, its alignment with the New York State's Common Core. And again, a breakdown of all the different areas which I used to make sure that I covered all the bases in the paper regarding the AEPS system. So these are all my sources that I used and where I got my information from. And like I said, I think the AEPS system is a great alternative to standardized testing, and more exams such as these should be developed to be used in the future. All right, thank you.